You are listening to the Malliard Report, a live radio show that ventures into the mysteries of life, as well as the hot topics of the day, either political or business. I want to welcome everybody to this report. I'm really excited about tonight's report. It's a guest that I've known for a couple of years now. It's probably longer than a couple of years, but we'll get into that here in a few seconds, because I actually think I do know. Because I kind of looked this up and I kind of cheated, but we'll get to that in a second. Before we get too far gone, this month's sponsor, I got a nice note from Chef Andrew Gould, who said very kind things about all you listeners out there who've took the time to share his cause and donate money to him, and he was very appreciative of all that stuff. And I'm very appreciative of it too, that you guys came through in a big way for him and his cause. Just want to say that off the top. But obviously, new month, new April, and again, kind of going on a limb here. I'm using my quote-unquote podcast book, 75 Things You Need to Know Before You Start a Podcast. It's here on the website. It's also at dreambig.stream. You kind of go over there, you sign up. It's not an ebook that you find on Amazon. You have to come over and give me your email address because, well, it's free. So I got to get some trade-in concept back from it. So I get your email address, I send it to you, and then I do send a couple follow-up emails after that based on checking in on you, because that's kind of how I take care of people that, have an interest in podcasting, and I was talking about that a little bit ago as well. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that here this evening with our guest. She might have something to say about a podcast. I don't know. We'll find out. My guest tonight is Kat Ward from Paranormal Heart, and she, like I said, she's been around. Okay, so how are you doing tonight, Kat, first, before we get too far into this?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, for all things considered. And for those people out there who are wondering, it's first Tuesday of the month. Where do live calls go? They start in an hour. We're going to do the normal run of the show, and then we're going to do live calls. So stay tuned for those people out there who are rampantly disappointed that we're not starting with live calls tonight, because they have become rather popular on Tuesday night. But we're just going to slide it back a little bit. That's okay. So, Kat, what's new? What's good in Canada tonight?
It's getting warmer. Finally.
So, I teased a little bit about knowing that you've been around the show longer than you may think you've been around the show, and longer than I cared to admit. Now, do you have any clue when, the first time you connected with the show was?
7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. So you do know.
Yep. Yeah, I do.
I had to look it up, because now how do I look it up? Because I used to have tells, because I used to automate direct messages on Twitter to people. Mm-hmm. And the first message that you had for me was a message about a former network, and that kind of narrowed the time frame down to 6 months.
Huh.
Because I was only there for 6 months. I don't know. I don't honestly know if you ever listened to a show there.
I don't think I have. I don't ever recall listening to you while you were on a network.
Yeah, see, so that's all positive notes there. But that's inconsequential to why you're here. I mean, that was just kind of fun, and that tells me how long it's been since I've been on the network. So yeah. Anyways, tell my listeners a little bit about what you do, the Paranormal Heart, which is a couple years old now as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say hello to the pond, my people in the pond, everybody who's listening. This is long-time listener, first-time guest. Yeah, it's really weird being on this side of the pond. But yes, I am Kat Ward, and I have one of my cats next to me, and she's purring profusely, so I don't know if you can hear it. She started purring a little louder there, Jim, after we were talking, so... wanted to say that I was so excited that I started to purr. But anyways, I have a podcast called Paranormal Heart. It's on the second and last Sunday of every month. And you can find it on Podbean, YouTube, New Lantern Media, which is a great place to be. Plug for Justin and Eric. And pretty much everywhere that you can find a podcast. I just recently found out that I was on Amazon as well. I was like, what? So, I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, they're getting in the game finally, which doesn't surprise me, because everybody's trying to get into the game, but it seems like they're way late to the party, but that's whatever. I'm glad they're there. So, you also, what was the last time you were on an investigation?
Ooh, a couple of months. Wait, I'm trying to think. What was the last one? Yeah, it was probably a couple of months. I, because of COVID, it's so difficult right now. We're in a lockdown again in Ontario, here in Ontario, Canada. The entire province is locked down. The numbers keep rising. People don't listen. Anyways, um, so it's really difficult to go on investigations. We have a couple set up for in the Ottawa Valley where I'm at right now, but of course we have to wait until the 28-day lockdown is done until we can do anything. Um, but yeah, it's been about a couple of months. Not too bad for COVID, I guess.
Yeah, as I say, but do you miss it? I guess is one of the questions that have coming out of this.
I do. I do. I used to, well, I've been investigating now for 8 years, 9 years, something like that. I can't exactly remember when I joined the Canadian Supernatural Research Society, um, but it was the first time I ever did real investigating. And in the beginning, I wanted to just I wanted to find all this proof that's out there for people as to why they're having all these experiences, and I've had a few myself, and I wanted to prove that these things are existing. And now I don't need the proof because I've seen it and heard enough that I'm taking it a step further, and I want to find out where all of this is coming from and why. So I guess I've grown a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the net. Well, I guess it shouldn't be. I shouldn't preference it by. I hate using general stereotypes, right? Because I know there's always people that just don't grow up, so to speak, in this, right?
Or
So I
anything.
don't want to say everybody does, but I used to refer to it as the wave, right? You get so excited the first few times, like you go out and then the water crashes down, and then the tide goes back out, and some people go back out the second time, right?
Mhm.
Not nearly as much fun the second time when that wave, the ride's going to end.
Yeah.
But you kind of do it because now you kind of understand how it works and you got a little bit better grip on it. And you can go out back as many times as you want. And some people, after a few, the thrill is gone. It's kind of over. And for some people, it's kind of like, okay, but if I go later in the evening or earlier, the tides are just a little bit different, and the wave comes in a little bit different. There's a storm coming. Like they start to try to understand when the best waves are coming. Right? It works really well. All these analogies with surfing and all this other stuff, and then, but
You want to go to the beach, Jim, don't you?
oh, apparently I do. But I'm not a beach person. Even when I'm at the beach, I'm not a beach person. Don't like sand on my feet.
Yeah, then you can't get rid of sand for the next 15 years. You just keep finding it.
So the beach is hard for me, but it just continues to play out. And then like I said, there are people that study it and get way into it. And I think that's, like I said, I assume that's a natural evolution for everybody. But there are just some people out there who just love throwing it all against the wall, 100 miles an hour. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Go
ahead.
I was gonna say, but most people grow and mature and kind of try to understand why and how, and try to come to understanding about some of this stuff. And it sounds like, well, most of the people I have on this show, your show, I'm sure are the same way. That you're not going out there and getting the people that are trying to just cross off millions and millions of places off their list.
Yeah. I'm trying to get more people who are not in the paranormal that have had experiences and don't understand why and are terrified, and I want them to know that they are not alone. There's so many people around the world that are having the same experiences. They're not alone. So I'm trying to get more of people that are not really into the para community, just so I can help them. And I'm starting to get more and more people like that. Last one that I had was he didn't want to be on the show, but he had some experiences, so I narrated them with Brian Anderson. Had four stories. It was only a 20-minute episode this time, But I was really thankful that he sent me his experiences because he was really nervous to come out. He didn't want to mention exactly where he was from, and that's fine. Anyone who wants to send me their encounters, and I'm more than happy to read them on the air. And if they want to remain anonymous, that's fine too. I know who they are. They're brave enough to step forward. So, yeah, I'm really loving that I have more and more people stepping forward like that.
Yeah, and there's a ton of people out there who, once you start talking to them and get a little bit of credibility with them, I guess is the easiest, most sound way to say this. And
Yeah.
then you start having those little bit deeper and harder conversations to have with people. Because obviously, now this comes from a guy who owns italkparanormal.com, right? Shout out to that great website that I still try to still put together, right? So that's a little bit more straight slap in your face, let's talk about it, right? But I've come to understand through the years that, well, that's great. And that when people see that does open doors for some conversations. For others, you need to have the, I guess, the mothering conversation with them, right? Put it easily. The little soft conversation, it'll be okay, we can talk about this.
Hmm. I was really happy. I had a listener message me one time, and she wound up being a guest. And I don't want to mention her name because I don't have her permission. But she said she really liked the platform of my show because she felt like it was a safe place. So when she started listening to my show, she thought, oh, wow, she's not out there trying to tear me apart or tear the guests apart. She's actually listening to their encounters. So she stepped forward, and there was some other issues that she was having. And I know an archbishop here in Canada, so I put her in contact with them, and they've been sorting some things out, which I was happy that I was able to help. So I was so, I can't even think of the word. I was so happy when she messaged me and used the words, "It's a safe place" on your show.
Yeah, and that's well, I guess we're going to transition the show conversation for a second. That's the great thing about my show and your show. I had a question, goodness, I guess it would be a year ago, or over a year ago now, because COVID, right? And the answer was semi-vague on Google, right? You know how sometimes you can't find a yes or no answer. It's kind of...
Yep.
So I picked up my phone, and I was at a scout meeting, and I'm like, hey, I'll get the answer for us. And they're like, looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, hold on. So I stepped out, and I text one of my one of my former guests, right? And sure enough, within a few minutes, he replied, gave me the answer to the question, and hey, and the next message was, hey, because I preference it with all that, I'm at a scout meeting, and they're asking these questions, and I can't seem to find a great answer, and I need some, I want an answer of credibility.
Yeah.
And then I asked the question, and he sent back, no, because, and I'm like, okay, so I read that to them, and then he sent me a message later. It said, hey, thanks for thinking of me, because, I know you ask questions all the time, but those kind of questions that young people have, especially, need answered in a way that they can understand.
Yeah.
And thanks for thinking of me and get me back on your show. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, I need to get you back on. And yet it's been a year and he hasn't been on. And if he's listening tonight, my phone will probably ding it in a minute here and say, yeah, you're talking about me, but you haven't had me on. And
maybe he'll call in the last hour.
I was gonna say there's an opportunity there in the next hour to call in, but yeah, great guy. But that's the little things that people say, well, Jim, your show isn't setting the world on fire with anything, and I'm like, no, but there's these moments of meaning to me that matter outside the download and the website. That I could pick up my phone and call some pretty neat people or email them or whatever the case may be, and get a legitimate answer within a day. And that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. I've done that with past guests too. I've emailed them and consulted with them on certain questions, and you get a reply right away. It's great. Yeah,
and I've never run into somebody that was mad about a random question, especially if it's short and to the sweet. I mean, well, Kat, you've messaged me for a while now. You know that
yeah.
I don't punch too many words just to punch words. If it's coming, it's coming
Yeah.
direct. And so there are times that I get messages from people that would, I wish they would just send me the 10 words they needed to send me and not the 4 paragraphs before that.
The Cole's Notes version.
Yeah, just hit me with what you need to hit me with, and I'll be fine. So take me back though, Kat, because I've never heard the story. What made you get interested in the paranormal to start with?
Oh, you don't know? Wow.
Apparently I don't, or maybe I have forgot, but refresh me either way.
Maybe. Well, it's something I've always had an interest in. As a little girl, I grew up on the east coast of Canada in a province called New Brunswick, and we lived in a 3-story apartment building, and it was a really creepy building. The building was so old that in the basement they used to heat the building with coal, and then by the time we moved in, it had been switched over to electric heat, but very, very old building, and we lived on the top, and I had this big room and a big walk-in closet. And my dad even now says he remembers my having night terrors, screaming about the man in the closet. I had witnessed the Hat Man since I was about 5 years old, I think, and kept seeing him until we moved away from that apartment. Never really told anybody else other than my parents, because I would be screaming bloody murder and they'd come running to check to see how I was doing. And I was listening, fast forward to quite a few years later, I was listening to Paratooth Radio. In the beginning, I just met Eric and Justin, and they actually had someone talking about the Hat Man on there, but he was talking about the shorter version. Oh, no, he was talking about just the tall Hat Man. I messaged Justin after the show and said, hey, I've just listened to your episode, and I've had an encounter as well, but mine was about 4 feet tall. He doesn't remember this, but he sent me a link on YouTube. This guy also, as a child, kept seeing the Hat Man, the short version, and recreated it. And when he recreated it, I had all these childhood feelings come flooding back for a split second. I was terrified. It was exactly what I saw as a child. And I've always thought about the Hat Man ever since we moved from that apartment building. But again, I never spoke about it before. So knowing that other people had encounters like that just fascinated me. And apparently there's a difference between the tall one and the short one. I don't know what it is. He never took notice of me. He was just in my room. Later on, I had a psychic tell me that he was protecting me. I don't know. The building's not there anymore. It's been torn down, because I would love to go back home and investigate that building, or find out whoever lived there after us, if they had experiences. But always had, there's sensitivities on both sides of the family. So it's not something that my parents would try to say, you were having a bad dream. They would just try and get me to talk about it. And
yeah, as I said, I guess I did hear that at some point.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah. So but there was the childhood stuff, right? And then there was this moment of reconnecting with that. There had to have been something in between there to tip you back into looking for stuff.
Well, we moved, my husband and kids and I moved to the Ottawa Valley in Ontario here, and I had a friend message me on Facebook one time and said, hey, there's this lady on Facebook wanting to put a paranormal team together, and I know you're into that, so I thought you'd be interested. And of course, my husband and I, every Friday night after the kids would go to bed, we used to pop open a bottle of wine and watch Most Haunted from the UK. And so I always knew it wasn't exactly like on TV, because it's a TV show, right? But she messaged me, and I thought, okay, what's her name? And you know Katie Turner. So I messaged Katie, and I said, hey, I heard that you're looking to put a team together, and I'm interested. So I went to a local coffee shop just to have like a meet and greet, and I've been with them ever since. And I still remember the first investigation that we had. It was amazing how many hits we had. I mean, her and I were it was a private residence, and an older gentleman in his 90s. And Katie and I were in his room, and the rest of the team were in the spare bedroom next to it. And we asked for knocks, and we heard the knocks. And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's one of the team members messing with us. No, it was coming from a complete different area of where they were. And then we started asking for, can you give us 3 knocks? Like, we'd give a specific number and we got them. And Katie and I would look at each other and I was totally blown away. I was like, okay, I'm sold. I want to do this. So I've just been stuck with them, or they've been stuck with me ever since.
So she actually said hello on Facebook, and we'll say hello back to her, even though I normally don't address those people, but I figured
Oh, hey,
I
Katie.
would pop over there just for a second, and may have generated an echo for a second for people listening because I'm an idiot.
No, you're not.
Well, when you forget to turn your volume down before you do something like that, yes, you are.
Or when you forget to unmute.
Yeah,
I never said that.
Yeah, there are certain things that just, you got to call it as you see it. It's a ball or a strike, and sometimes it's a strike. Of course, you're very familiar with Germantown Runner. You've had him on your show, matter of fact. So
yes, I have. He was amazing.
This will come as no surprise to you. He's peppered the chat room with questions. So
I saw.
I'm actually gonna pick a couple of them up here because, well, they're questions I was gonna ask, but I'll give him credit for them because that's how I am. And of all the paranormal topics you've investigated, what do you believe in more, and which areas do you believe in? Well, he asked it as discounted. I'll say less.
I haven't really discounted anything. And what do I believe in more? Oh, jeepers. Where to start? It's just, I would probably have to say, I'm going to have to say Bigfoot. In the beginning, I used to think paranormal was only ghosts. But now I realize it's cryptids, it's aliens, it's time travel, anything that's not normal. So I think the thing that I would probably believe in the most, other than ghosts, because I've had experiences, but I don't exactly know what they are, probably would be Bigfoot, although I've never really had an encounter, but there's so many people out there who have.
I'm just always surprised there isn't a body. And that's true.
Yeah.
That's true of aliens too, to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they say they find scat, they find footprints, but there's no body. Why? And that really fascinates me too. It's like it's the whys that get me. I want to know why, but I would never go investigating Bigfoot because I've always said before, anything that can rip my head off and spit down my neck, I don't want to go investigating.
Oh, you're missing half the pleasure of life there, then.
Oh, right.
And that could be the homeowner. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. That's going to get me in trouble.
What doesn't get you in trouble?
That's often a good question. I don't know anymore. I seriously don't know anymore what doesn't get me in trouble. Of course, when I say that, there's a certain one in mind. Like... Anyway...
You're going to get yourself in trouble again.
I am. Of course, next question from Germantown Runner is about the Ouija board. And have you ever had Karen Dolman on your show?
No, and I don't think I know who that is.
Oh, she is... I don't want to say she's the queen of the Ouija, but she is... She's massively knowledgeable on them.
I'll have to look into her.
As I say, I'm pretty sure you've heard her here on the show before.
I probably have and didn't realize what her name is because you know how forgetful I am.
As I say, I do the same thing. I hear people and I'm like, oh, who? And then I listen to them like, oh, yeah, that guy. Or, well, in this case, that woman. But nevertheless. But anyways, so remind me at some point. I'll get you her information because she's a fascinating guest about the Ouija. So anyways, what's your take on it?
No, but it's not exactly a simple answer for me. I grew up French Roman Catholic. My mother was extremely, extremely religious. Would pray every day. She had her prayer beads. And she used to always tell me, don't ever bring a Ouija board in the house. They're evil. You don't want it. And just having that ingrained in you as a child, a teenager, is just beaten into you. Ouija boards are bad. But the more I think about it, it's not really more different than using any equipment when you go investigating. But because I've been so ingrained with Ouija boards are bad, I still have that feeling that, no, I don't want to go near them. Because I feel it's the intent as well of what the person using the whatever piece of equipment it is that they're using. But the Ouija board, especially if you don't use it properly and close it at the end, then big trouble happens. But it's not really a simple answer. Like I said, no, every ounce of my being says no, but then my mind says, well, it's probably not that bad because, like I said, other equipment, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's what gets me about that, because you think about, we'll just use the K2 meter, for example, because that's also handheld, right?
Yeah.
At some level. I mean, I guess some people do lay them on tables and desks and whatever, but often they're in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
No difference. You're asking a question and expecting an answer. It's just as close. Of course, I'm sure you've heard the reason I don't like them, right?
Yeah, but refresh my memory.
You want to refresh?
I'm forgetful. Yes,
because I don't like to spell.
Oh, you can't spell. I mean...
well, that's true, too. That's another reason. For it to communicate with me, it has to be on the same wavelength, and I don't think there's too many other creatures that are this smart. See, Kat, you see how I see the last time you kind of yelled at me for calling myself an idiot, so there, I cleaned it up for you. Is that better?
That's better. Jim, if you pass before me, I am going to try the Ouija board to connect with you, and if you misspell everything, I'm going to know it's you.
I was going to say, there are some definite misspellings that you'll know for sure instantly.
One word in particular.
So, of course, you've probably heard this one, too. If I do die and you decide to try to do an EVP session on me before I, am at rest and at peace, light a candle so I can burn your house down. Be better than any that'll just be absolute proof that the other side does exist. But the audio footage may be ruined, just for the record. So it's a give and take relationship sometimes.
Remind me not to light a candle.
Yeah, but then, like I said, that's your definitive answer, right? Not because there's so many. There's hours and hours of me saying stuff now that you could fake anything. You could probably, with AI bots, you could make me say anything you want from the grave. You could probably do it now, but especially after I'm gone. And then I can't deny saying whatever you horrible things you string together for me, EVP wise.
Not your fault.
Not my fault because I'm dead. But hey, like I said, if I burn your house down, there is, well, I guess there's no substantial proof anymore because, again, your house is gone. But
well, if I do light a candle, it'll be at somebody else's house, so my house is safe. So, any of my friends, if I say, "Hey, let's light a candle,"
yeah, I was gonna say, be careful. Light the candles.
Run! Kick me out of your house. Hide the candles.
I will feel bad for just a second if somebody tries that, and it actually does happen. But then I'll warn you correctly.
True.
For years, that's my intent. If you try, sometimes in life, in the afterlife, I guess it is. Sometimes in the afterlife, you just want left alone. So
yeah,
if you get your house,
that's why we have so many aggressive spirits on the other side. Is because all of us paranormal investigators are trying to communicate with them and asking all these questions, and all they want to do is rest. It's like, look, I've had my time. I'm tired. Leave me alone.
You're probably onto something because when places like hotels and these other places that people would go vacationing, or a bar, right? You're going there for a good time. A hotel, you're going for to get away from things. And what do? What are you doing?
Hello.
Middle of the night. Hey, is anybody here?
Yeah. Just imagine them on the other side. Are you serious? Are we doing this right now? I've had enough of
doing this right
people.
now. Doing this right now or doing this again. Either way.
Yeah. It's like, fine, I'll give you some answers. I'll move some stuff.
Now, I don't know if this is still true, but there was a place at one time. I'm not going to name the name of it because I don't know if it's still true or not. But the daytime tour was like $10, right? And the overnight tour, it wasn't an investigation. It was just an overnight tour at night. Was like $45.
Jeez.
For the same tour, but at night. Because they were supposedly haunted.
Yeah. Do you know where this was, or do you want to mention?
I don't want to mention it because I don't know if it's still true or not. Because I know there was some change in ownership or management or something there, so I don't know if it's still accurate. But at one time, it was like, boy, you're really cashing in on this paranormal thing.
No kidding.
So,
Well, people
how,
like to be scared, so they're going to pay for it.
oh, like I said, there was a list. There were people trying to get me to go, and I said if I went, I'd go during the day, save my money.
Yeah, right.
If it's truly haunted, I hate the word haunted, by the way. If it's truly
Yeah,
haunted, it'll be haunted during the day, and I'll have a great experience, and we'll move on.
that reminds me of when I was a kid and the Hat Man incident. And my dad, it was during the daytime. We're standing in, 'cause like I said, I had a big walk-in closet. So we're standing in the big walk-in closet, and my dad's trying so hard to tell me that you're okay, there's nothing here at night that isn't here during the daytime. And I looked at him and I said, "You mean he's here in the daytime too?" I was afraid of the daytime too for the longest time. And my dad's like, "Great, that didn't work out."
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the classic moment, and we've all had
Uh-oh.
those. Yeah, right. Like, oh no, like
Oh yeah, yeah,
you try to explain something and just maybe it's just me. Make it worse. Well, that's an interesting phenomenon though, because like your story started when you were a child, mine started when I was a child, and we kind of both had parents that I don't want to say we're accepting, right? Obviously,
yeah,
but weren't squashing either. I guess is the
yeah.
easiest way to go about this. So that's an interesting. I mean, we're talking about parents and this whole dynamic, and I think that plays a major part of because I do believe children are closer to or able to see more than we can, for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Agreed.
And then, for whatever reason, that closes. Now, some say I personally believe it's because we try to socialize them too much and send them to school too early and all this other stuff, but that's just me.
Oh, now they send them to school at 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
My God, it's just too young. But
I mean,
anyways,
yeah, like I said, it's just me because they need interaction. Well, they need to grow up a little bit too. I don't know.
yeah,
It's rough. I get it. I get both sides of it, but I don't know. Sometimes
no,
we just need to let our kids be kids at some point too.
yeah. It's funny you were talking about how you and we had experiences as kids. I haven't met too many people who haven't had experiences since they were kids that are into the paranormal. I've heard of a couple of people who've never had experiences but still are into it. They either have shows of their own or they investigate because they want to find out because they hear other people talking about it. But there's not too many people like that.
Well, the other thing is, I've often wondered, right? Everybody, came into it late, so to speak.
Hmm.
I wonder if they had a bad experience with their parents and just squashed it and forgot all about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's happened. I've spoken with people who, when they've heard my show, they're so happy that there's other people like them out there because as a child they would see things or hear things, and their parents would just pretty much call them stupid and tell them what they're seeing is evil and you're evil, and I'm just like, oh my, no, no, no. And so they've grown up like that, and it just breaks my heart to know that parents who are not nurturing, even if they don't believe that their children are seeing things, ask them, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? And try and find out the root of what's going on with that child. Don't tell them they're evil. I mean, oh, good grief.
That's not a way to mess a child up in a hurry.
Right?
So, where is it at? I had it here. Did I save it here or over there? Oh, there it is. Another question from Germantown Runner, which I appreciate this one because I've been wondering this, that I honestly have mixed feelings about it.
Do tell.
There it is. Sorry, the chat room moved on me as I was getting ready to read it. I looked up and it wasn't what I almost
The
went
chat
full
room can
blown.
move really fast.
I went Ron Burgundy and I almost read what was right there because it was right there and then it wasn't the same thing and that was almost bad. Do these tense times with this COVID and all the economic consequences from it promote paranormal activity or decrease? Or does it remain constant, not consonant because that's not a letter, constant through the times?
I want to say No, I don't have any proof, but this is how I feel. So it's not something that I've researched, and I like to research things before I say things. But this is just how I feel because there's so many more people being at home now. There's a lot of people. Everybody's bored right now because they have to be at home, so they're looking to the skies. You hear a lot more encounters where people are saying, "I saw a UFO." I don't think we're having any more than usual. I think it's just because everybody's at home and they're taking notice of their surroundings. They're noticing things that have always been there, but they just have the time now to, well, smell the roses. So they're actually looking around and they're noticing all this stuff. I feel that's what's going on. But again, I have not researched this yet. That's just an idea that I have.
See, I'm surprised. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I am surprised there hasn't been more case requests for people, because I've noticed during traditional winter, right, it spikes because people are home and they're sitting in their house and they hear more things that are just natural noises in their house, but they're finally hearing them because they're finally home and paying attention to them, like their furnace and all the bangs and the clicks and the pops and all that stuff
That they don't normally hear.
but they don't normally hear because they're not normally home.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't see any increase. Of course, we're not nearly as active as we once were, so that might be part of this as well. But normally, even the last few years before, there would still be a few just pop up and I didn't see as many as I thought I was going to see, especially when people were locked in. I always thought there was just going to be this tidal wave of people who, mental break, I guess, is the only way to put it. Right?
Yep.
But I haven't seen it, which surprises me. Of course, like I said, I'm not necessarily as deep into it as I once was. But
well, it could be that I feel there's still kind of a stigma when people encounter things like that. Maybe people are encountering it more and they just don't want to say anything.
But I think there's always those people, no matter what. I think there's this other group of people that would say something but necessarily didn't. Now, is that because they were scared of the virus? I don't know, because some of these people, right, are just... Okay, so I guess there are three groups of people, right? The first group of people that we were talking about who won't say anything, they would see it straight in the eye and like, nope, that's evil.
Yeah.
Right? We rule them out right now. The other group of people who are... I use this word a lot. It's become a word, and it probably isn't really a word, but it's going to be. It's going to be in a dictionary because I'm going to put it there, which is meffed up. I think it probably is more common than I'm giving myself credit for, but I love it. I don't use messed up anymore. It's always meffed up because it's not nice to make fun of people with addiction. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that sometimes there's actions that are a result of that are that. So let's be clear about that. So there's that group of people that are seeing things not because they're seeing things, but because they're on something and they're seeing things, or their mind is just destroyed because they've altered it to the point of whatever. So
are they actually hallucinating, or are they actually seeing for the first time because the drugs are allowing them to? Sorry, I just had to say that.
No, you might be out of something, but there are varying degrees in that slippery slope there. Okay, so let's take off the pools, right? The people that are and the people that aren't, and then in the middle there's probably two groups too. The people that are too conservative to say anything, but might send you a story anonymously, right? That group of people up there, and then there's this other group here that would probably, come on a show or free and openly share a story or say their house has activity. Right, wrong, or indifferent. There's that group there. And I think that group is growing, right? Because like you said, there are people that are sharing stories that traditionally wouldn't. But I think there's got to be some that say, I'm not sharing my story because I don't want it to become commercialized, I guess is the...
Yeah.
And I have no idea where I'm going with all that, so...
Nor do I. I just let you ramble.
See, that's the power of me. Breaking down the four... I think we came to 4 types of people in the paranormal community. Or people that report paranormal activity.
And
Now,
then
people,
sub branches. So would that really be 5?
now, people in the paranormal community, oh boy, this is where I get in trouble. There's only two type of people in the paranormal community: the investigators, the people that do this, the sane and the whoa, wow,
Yeah. 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 I shake my head sometimes.
yeah, and that whoa wow crowd, right? You know, like they you can tell there's not a genuine interest in people. It's
No, I know.
and
It's all for them.
yeah, that's the alarming part. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I hate to say this, but if you're not being genuine with people, it's gonna come and get you.
Yep.
And
Karma.
I'm not talking about the boogeyman. Well, maybe Bigfoot, but
Gonna rip your head off and spit down your neck.
we can only hope, right? If Bigfoot did that a few times, right?
Wow. Yeah.
I think we'd all be better off.
I recently heard, now I don't know if this is true or not, that in the States, they are trying to get, well, Bigfoot hunters, get a whole group to go get proof. And if you can actually bring back proof, they're going to pay them, I don't know, a stupid amount of money. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, there has
That
been.
scares me.
There has been. I haven't. I've heard. It's been a while since I've heard that, but I heard there was somebody was putting a bounty out there for a while
Yeah.
on that, and but I don't think it was enough to.
I'll have to go back and find the message to see how much they were going to be paying for the bounty, but I thought that could be really, really dangerous for us.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really dangerous for them too. Oh, geez.
Yeah, well,
okay.
yeah, for all parties, but
I actually seen that question before, and I'm going to ask it from MLK author because I did see it, but I was going to transition to it. But since they're having such a great time with it in the chat room, I will bring it to the top of the list because it's an interesting one.
I don't know if I want to go there.
I don't know if I want to go there either, but we're going to go there for a second at least. Could Jesus have been an alien?
Yeah. Oh.
You know, that's a very interesting question, and I've seen the actually my conspiracy shirts, my conspiracytees.com has a T-shirt with that on that, and that's where my shop's at, by the way. I don't necessarily vouch for that comment, but it's a question, and I'll stay tuned to save money at the shop. No, you like that, Kat? You see how I got
Slide that in there. That was smooth.
And speaking of, I'm sitting here. You'll appreciate this. The coffee mug you've sent me is
Yes.
actually part of the studio because it's actually holding the camera up to the right
Oh, no
height.
way.
I don't know why I grabbed it and put it there and put the camera on it, and it just kind of worked with what I was doing. Of course, some people tell me the camera's too low, so
Oh.
they
Have to
want it
send
up.
you another one.
Well, they want it up probably another 18 inches. So I don't think a stack of coffee mugs is probably not the best thing as much as I talk
No.
with my hands.
No.
But right now it's on the Paranormal Heart coffee mugs. So there's another swag promotion for all those some people.
Paranormal Heart helps to hold Jim Mallard up.
That's right. And I haven't managed to break it yet, so that's all the key.
That just goes to show how sturdy my mugs are.
I was gonna say, as anybody who listens to this show for any period of time realizes that I do talk. I haven't hit the microphone in a while, so I think I finally got it to a point where I know where it is. So I don't have to hit it. Back in the early days, Kat, were horrible. I was constantly whacking that thing.
I have to find those.
Oh yeah, the shows with the big thump in them. You'll know them.
The big that could be your new logo. The Malliard Report, the show with the big thump.
And then there's the stubborn era where I would refuse to fix the audio because it sounded just fine to me, even though there was this low-pitched buzz in the background, which I finally did hear. And then I proceeded not to fix for another 6 months because I couldn't hear it when it was live, so it didn't bother me.
Did you know Brian Anderson? Brian Anderson. Then did he fix it?
He actually did. Well, I fixed it, and then when I broke it, he helped me fix it the second time.
He's brilliant. Literally brilliant.
Yeah, he saved the show more than once with these things that It's amazing because I see. Okay, so I'll say this out loud. I see all these other podcast studios with these big mixers and these big elaborate systems and all this other stuff, and literally, I mean, you all see what's in front of me or behind me all the time, but literally, I've got one monitor, two monitors, and a keyboard in front of me. There's no mixers. There's no physical machines that make this show happen. It's all done digitally. Which every time I say that to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, you can do that," but and I'm like, "Yeah, you can do that," but I don't. I've had multiple mixers and all this other stuff, and guess what? I'd rather do it digitally because it works better. But
yeah, I just have a laptop, a mic, a headset, and this little blue box that everything plugs into. That's all I have.
Yeah. So okay. So let's go back. So let's rewind the tape on that since we've got geez, it's 13 minutes.
Holy
left.
Hannah.
Okay. Anyway, so we're rewinding the tape. So you were investigating for a number of years there. What, 4 or 5? Obviously you started listening to podcasts, but what made you train? I mean, obviously I kind of know this a little bit because I may or may not have had some influence in this, but obviously at the end of the day you had to have wanted to start doing it. Why did you want to start doing it?
Yeah, well, the way I met you was with John Malliard, no relation. The very first interview I did was John, and I was terrified, and it was pre-recorded. Oh, Lordy. I don't think I've ever been that terrified before, even on investigations. But then you do one interview, you meet one person in the paranormal, and then you meet somebody else, and it just snowballs, and then you have all this wonderful network of people that you meet, and met you through him, and lost my train of thought. Where was I going? What was the question?
Why'd you start doing your show? Why'd you start doing your show?
And then Elaine Matthews, she used to have a podcast, a channel on YouTube, and I was her first guest. It was called Elaine's Extreme Paranormal Channel. I was her first guest, and I was on there 3 or 4 other times, and I had family and friends message me, say, "Hey, you should start your own show." And I'm like, every person that would say that to me, I'd be like, hell no. So then I told that to my husband, and he's like, well, why don't you? And I'm like, wait, what? He goes, well, why don't you? And I'm like, I don't know. Other people do? And then I started to think, well, why don't I? And he's like, you like to talk to people. You like the paranormal. It's, a no-brainer. So then I messaged you, and I messaged John. I was like, should I do this? And you're like, why wouldn't you do it? And I remember you said, after your first 5 episodes, you'll know if you want to keep doing it. And here we are 3 years later. So, I just like to talk to people, like my husband had mentioned, and I like the paranormal. And I like the thing that I've mentioned this so many times. The thing that intrigues me the most about paranormal is, doesn't matter what religion, where you are around the world, everybody has the same experiences, but they'll call them by a different name. And to me, that's fascinating. I mean, to be able to have like Bigfoot in one part of the world and Yowie in another, or not Yowie, Yowie in Australia.
Yeah.
And they have them everywhere around the world. Yetis, all different names. That can't be a coincidence. Why are people having the same experiences? It's so intriguing.
Yeah, and even the ghost spirit thing, right? As simple as it comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do some people call them a ghost? And why do some people call them a spirit? And why do there are some people who differentiate between the two being the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Which those people fascinate me to no end, because I use them interchangeably to my chagrin or whatever, and when they start splitting hairs and splitting it out, and I go, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's all there is to it. It's just a wow. I don't know how else to say it.
Those wow people.
And that's what I love about my show, right? And you're probably aware of what I'm going to go here is when you can go out and get somebody what makes you uncomfortable. Not necessarily a bad uncomfortable, but pushes you out beyond what you believe. Who says things that you haven't thought about or haven't considered, and go, there's a topic that I'm thinking about that I know you love.
Yeah, we both know what that topic is.
It's a difficult topic, right?
I'm going to say, it's flat earthers.
Yeah, I mean, my listeners around the world appreciate this.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's difficult for me. It's difficult for you. It's difficult for a number of people in the duck pond.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like the Ouija all over again, where you're told one thing all your life, and, all of a sudden these people are having other views, and although I still firmly believe that we are a globe, why is it all these other people are saying the Earth is flat? I don't understand it. I want to understand your point of view. I used to make fun of them, but now I don't, because I want to understand. I want to understand everybody's point of view. Like, why is it? I had one person tell me that all the planets in the universe are round except for Earth. It's flat. And when I asked, why is it just Earth that's flat and everybody else is round? Like, what? I don't get it. And they couldn't really understand, but I really wanted to know. Like, give me more input. What is your data? What makes you think that?
That's the thing. Like that is probably like the topic that gets me the most out there, right? Because it puts me at a point where, I mean, there's some UFO alien stuff that kind of gets me on that edge. I know there's not too much Bigfoot stuff. Not nearly as much ghost stuff as used. I mean, there was a time that some of that stuff kind of got there, but now it's kind of far from it. But as you're sliding out there, that's still the topic. And as you know, I've talked a lot of topics on here, and that flat Earth one is always the one that kind of, I don't want to say puts the line in the sand, because I've talked about it a couple times now. I don't want to say several times, but a couple.
Yeah,
times.
I remember two guests that you had that were talking about flat Earth, and one guy was out to lunch, and the other guy actually had what he thought was scientific fact, and I'm going to say what he thought because I don't know. And kudos to him for being on your show where the most of your listeners don't believe in that. And like I said, kudos to him because he went on a show where non-believers to his ideas were listening. I mean, he could have been torn apart by questions by you or anybody else, but he didn't care. He wanted to go on there and talk about his views. And I have to say, I admire that.
And I will say this about both those gentlemen. Both have thanked me for the interview and were very generous, and both said they'd come back, which is an honest sign to me that says, well, I want to say I don't want to say they were hard questions, but they were definitely hard questions for somebody that believes something that is hard to believe.
Yeah.
And to have that mutual give and take and say, yes, we'll come back, tells me that I handled that correctly.
Yeah, you did do a good job.
So
it's up there with the water's not wet topic, but we won't even go there. Families have separated because of that topic.
That's a good one. That's a good boy. That sounds like a bad dad joke, but go ahead.
I just saw a question by a Germantown runner, if you don't mind my answering it.
Oh, go ahead.
Why is it when I cut the grass during the summer with my shirt off, so many in my town call animal control reporting a Yeti sighting? It's because, Germantown runner, you're so fine that the Yetis are coming out to look for you. And that's what the sightings are. It's not you, it's the others looking for you. Like that?
So you've done 56 of these paranormal, well, there's 56 posted now.
Yeah, 57 coming out this Sunday.
This Sunday. So for
I started off with doing once a month, and then I decided that I was going to do them twice a month, and it seems to be working out well.
So for those people who want to hear me or Kat talk to me about paranormal things, and this would have been, goodness, years ago, I'm
It was
episode number 12. I had to go look it up for those people who want to dig back through and
is it
hear.
12?
Yeah.
Wow. I know it was a December.
Yeah, it was your first year show,
Yeah.
which,
I think it was December.
yeah, which blows my mind because, like you said, now you're at 56, so.
Yeah,
Second
and
along.
like I said, 57's coming out. I already have 58 recorded, and I have about 5 that I have on my list that want to be on the show. So at first I was wondering, do I want to have 2 a month? Am I going to have enough guests for it? But yeah, so far so good. I've been very fortunate with either reaching out to people who heard on other shows, extremely fascinating, or people are starting to message me now, which I'm happy.
So, I love asking podcasters and radio people this question. Who is that one person you'd like to get on your show?
Oh, Dan Aykroyd. I would love to have Aykroyd. Not because I loved him in Ghostbuster and I love everything that he does in any movie. Like, he's a great entertainer. But when I found out years ago that he grew up pretty much in a paranormal family, that really intrigued me, and I want to pick his brain to find out. Give me more. How did you grow up? What did you experience? I mean, I just want to talk to him to find that out. Not because he's Dan freaking Aykroyd, but because I find him very interesting, and I want to know more.
Yeah, that's the fun thing. I love the people. I want to find out more about how they've got from point A to point B, and of course, Aykroyd has that other whole paranormal background that's just fascinating to me.
Yep. I mean, who knew?
Well, not many, but I think more people do today than they did then. So,
I remember reading. I know we're almost out of time, but I remember reading that when he was a kid. I can't remember if it was his grandfather that had it. So those proton packs that they have in Ghostbusters. I think he had his grandfather or some family member that actually had something like that to investigate. And I thought, oh, I want to know more about this. So, Mr. Aykroyd, I'm a Canadian. I'd really love to talk to you about the paranormal. So please contact me at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. Just saying.
So, Kat is also one of the select company that gets the Bill Murray message from me.
Yep.
Every Tuesday. I think I mentioned this one week during live calls. Yep. I sent it to several people. Well, it's a growing list of people. I was the only one. It's a growing list of people that I send it to. But hey, you will be happy to know that I don't send the same Bill Murray to everybody. You all get your own personal Bill Murray.
Oh.
Based on kind of the conversation we were having, or the guests, or there's.
It's personalized.
There's various variables in the Bill Murray gift, because your Bill Murray gift today was obviously much more directed for you being on the show tonight than the other ones I sent out. So,
and I love those reminders, because I've told you years ago, crap, I forgot it was Tuesday. I missed your show, and now you send me reminders, and sometimes with the reminders I forget. So
that's okay. But Bill Murray, at some point, I guess he's kind of my guest at this point. I just am fascinated with him because of the things that he's doing now with his life, that he's got to this point where he has zero fucks to give.
Yeah.
Right? Like he shows up and gets in couples engagement photos and hangs out at parties and does dishes and like all these great stories of him, plus being this illustrious Hollywood actor who is in probably 2 of my 5 favorite movies. And I don't know, but we're out of time, Kat. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Malliard Report. Stay tuned for details on saving money at the Duck Pond Shop. I hope you enjoyed this report. Please subscribe so that you can join us again. And if you appreciate the show, leave us some stars or a review. For more notes from this show or other great shows, check out Malliard.com. A reminder, the views and opinions of this show are those of the host and guest and do not represent any sponsors, affiliates, or any other partners of the Malliard Report. Now for your money-saving tip. Promo code Malliard at checkout of duckpondshop.com where you can get your t-shirt, coffee mug, and other great products. That's promo code Mallard at checkout, duckpondshop.com. Until next week, stay safe and keep quacking. Thanks for standing by as I took a few minutes there and tried to get this show uploaded. It's still being a little bit of a finicky mess to me, but so we'll continue working on that. So, as I mentioned before, for those people who are still here, and I know a bunch of you are, because you're looking forward to live calls. Like I told Kat prior to tonight's show, I appreciate her being here with me tonight, obviously, immensely. Wanted to do the first hour guest, second hour live calls, because I've noticed a trend, and the trend isn't great for the podcast listeners. The podcast listeners do not appreciate live calls, but the live listeners love live calls, obviously. So what do? You do both, because I value the Duck Pond tremendously, right? I think anybody who listens to the show knows that. Tremendously. Like, that's why I do the show every week, right? The Duck Pond keeps this show going. But the podcast listeners are 99% of the audience. So, the relationships I've built on the pond are phenomenal. I want to keep those going, and I want to keep the show being live and engaging. So, I do both. So, for the first time, well, not the first time, anybody out there, remember the other time this show went 2 hours? Germantown Runner, I bet he does. Because I know he was here listening that night, but I don't know if he remembers. Because there was one guest in the history of the show who got 2 hours in the first night. Great guest, and he'll be back on. Got to get him back on. I was talking about him tonight with somebody. Man. Okay, so open lines 234-738-2789. 2552. Bring up what you got going on, because this show is for you. And that's why we're here. To talk about what you want to talk about now. Not what I want to talk about, but what you want to talk about. So, let's see what's going on in the world, too. I'm going to bring up alternative talk radio.stream. Little tweak to the project lineup here. For those people who pay attention to my madness. I guess I could talk about that if somebody wants to hear about it. What's going on with all that stuff. So, there's that. We could talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second, since I guess I've got a minute here. The new site was Ad-Free Talk Radio. Of course, that's a great site. And that's going to become back to what it was created to be, which is a click in and listen site. Right? That was what it was created for. That's what it's going back to. I needed the news site, and so I created Alternative Talk Radio. So, alternativetalkradio.stream. All the news, you'll be seeing that on Twitter very soon. Probably as soon as this weekend. Again, all the headlines that you need, Fox, CNN. I'm going to be getting a bunch, because that's what we do. When we create these news sites, we create a bunch of headlines, get them all together, so you can just easily see the spin of each site, and so you can compare. That's what I like to do. So you can filter, start to gain perspective, if you're into that. I'm going to take this call if it shows up. I got a big white box on my screen, but that's okay. So it did show up. Welcome to the second hour for the first time. May I ask who's calling? Let's go.
Duckmaster, this is Germantown Runner, Dave.
I figured you. I was hoping you'd call in. I know there's some nights that you're just not able to, so I was hoping you'd be available tonight.
Oh, on the inaugural night of the now soon-to-be world-famous second hour, of course I'm calling.
Yeah, the second hour, I kind of like this perspective.
I've only been lobbying for live calls for, I don't know, like an eternity.
Well, yeah.
So I would be in.
Well, but
You'd be like, well, look, I gave you a... didn't even call.
Well, see, but there are people like that. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course. How was your Easter?
Easter was really good. Quiet,
Good.
more quiet than normal, or than the last few, but that's okay. And it had nothing to do with COVID. It was just kind of a easier day, and I'm not sure why, but I'm very happy that it was. So.
Yeah, that's nice. You know, you take those little unexpected gifts of solitude when they come. That's always good. I'm going to tell you the funniest story. So on Thursday, Easter was Sunday, so Thursday, 3 days before, it snowed here in suburban Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Not enough to shovel or even broom, but I mean, it snowed during the Cherry Blossom Festival. It was unbelievable. Then the next day, Good Friday, it was so warm I cut the grass.
Of course you did.
Because I was having family over and I wanted everything to look nice, and the grass was up to my ankles. And I'm like, how am I going to cut the grass? It's snowing. The next day, it was in the upper 60s. And then, for Easter, it was sunny, and it was like 72. It was beautiful. But it was the craziest 3 days of weather.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had to go to Erie that Thursday, which is in the snow belt. And they had more than, they probably had a couple inches, but the roads had enough temperature and that it wasn't sticking to the roads. So
oh, dear God. So
that was nice. It was that nice because it was everywhere but the roads. So everywhere it had this white, fresh snow, which you know, when it's new and fresh and it doesn't have all that salt and road crap in it.
Yeah, it looks nice.
It's always pretty. So it was kind of nice to see, of course. Like you said, it had been nice a couple days before that and was a nice couple days after that. So it would have been nice to have been on my way north with, 65 in the windows down blaring the music instead of trying to find a winter coat. But
right, exactly. And it's very hard to find these Easter eggs that the bunny leaves in the snow. It's just tough.
It is.
So what are your predictions for the Masters?
I have no clue, honestly. I don't know.
Jordan Spieth?
Yeah, I don't, he seems to be the kind of guy that would, but he strikes me as a guy that isn't going to win at Augusta. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just, that gut, there's just those guys that just, their game or whatever just doesn't work there. And I think he's one of those guys.
I'll tell you, it was great to see, shots of the pre-festival, pre-tournament crowds already coming into the, into the country club. Wow, it was nice to see things looking normal.
Yeah, and seeing the Rangers opening day, right? Was that?
Oh, it was unbelievable.
So, and it's good to see. It's good to see. I mean, I guess by the 19th, everybody will be eligible for a vaccine, so that's even better. So
I get mine next week. I got my appointment.
There you go. See, even Germantown runner gets an appointment once in a while. Pulled the big strings.
I mean, I thought to myself, "What? You're making me stand in line?" Oh, the humanity. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. No, I've been pinging them, and it's been in short supply. But yesterday, the governor of Maryland announced that everybody 16 and older can now go. But you can't just show up. You have to make an appointment, and you have to do it online. So it's like trying to get concert tickets when the Rolling Stones announced their world tour. You're pinging, and maybe you get through.
Like Ticketmaster, when you go to, and everybody's already bought the good seats? No.
Yes, exactly. Or like when you need to get Capitals playoff tickets when they make the playoffs. Speaking of which, you want to hear my latest pet peeve?
Yes, please.
On pro sports vis-a-vis COVID, vis-a-vis on-site attendance. Yesterday, the I will call her infamous now because of the decision she has made, the infamous mayor of Washington, the Right Honorable Muriel Bowser, has announced that unlike for the Washington, D.C. soccer team, D.C. United, and unlike for the Washington Nationals, who started their season a couple days late due to COVID today, she is not going to be allowing indoor crowds to indoor sporting events for the Washington Capitals hockey team and the Washington Wizards NBA franchise. Even though cities all across the league are opening up, even on a minimal basis, letting fans trickle in, season ticket holders and that kind of thing, come back in to cheer for the home team. But no, not the Capitals, of which as you know, I'm a huge fan. Not the Capitals and not the Wizards, who are owned by the same person, by the way, Ted Leonsis of AOL fame. He made all of his money in AOL. So he's one of those .com guys. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating because certainly home team crowds are, in essence, the extra man on the ice, the extra man on the court. They do, you do get an edge. That's why they call it, home field advantage. And she is literally going to, as we're racing toward the playoffs now, we're 17 games away, 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks away from the start of the playoffs. And all the other teams have their extra man on the ice cheering for them. But no, not Washington, D.C. No. No, she's too afraid of her own shadow. Even though some of the most restrictive places, New York, California, they're letting people in to their hockey games and their NBA games. So it's just infuriating. Thank you for letting me vent.
Oh, no, you're right. Because even here in the Commonwealth, you get to go to a hockey game.
Yeah, exactly. What I want to do is I want to write into her, email her and say, are you aware that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are within driving distance of the District of Columbia? Are you aware that Caps fans who are starving to cheer on, the home boys, are driving now in sealed vehicles for many miles to these two towns to cheer on their teams? That can't possibly be COVID-friendly by your definition, yet this is what's happening. And they're taking their revenue with them.
Yeah, that's the bigger point.
It's unbelievable. I mean, these decisions, they're making these decisions in these, pardon the pun, in these bubbles. And I'm starting to think they have bubbleheads or bobbleheads when they're making these decisions. I mean, what does she think? Do you think the ardent Wizards fans or Capitals fans are just staying home watching it on TV when they can hop in the car and 2.5 hours later be in Philadelphia? 4 hours later be in Pittsburgh? No. They're going. I have neighbors that have driven to Pittsburgh.
And there's smart ways to do it. You don't have, obviously we're not suggesting 100% capacity, but you could do it at 25%, 50%, whatever. And
right. Now, this is not Texas Rangers here I'm talking about. I'm talking about 15 to 20% capacity, social distancing, masks wearing at all times, all the concessions closed, and they bring the concessions to you through the walking vendors. Beer here, popcorn. They'll bring it to you. That would be the rules. That would be how it would go. But at least you'd have fans in the stands, and you'd have these teams generating some kind of on-site revenue. They've had no revenue, nothing.
Yeah, and it's
I read an article the other day. In the hockey news.
Yeah.
50%, 50% of NHL franchises are now money losing. They are in the red. They're not profitable. 50% due to this. This has got to end. This has got to stop. This is madness. This is madness. For a flu that even if you're 60 years old or younger, you have a 99.6% chance with no shot, with no medicine of getting over. This is insane. What kind of Kool-Aid have we all drunk?
So I've got a question for you.
Okay, ask away.
I know you pay a little bit of attention to NASCAR, so I'm sure you've seen this. Did you watch Bristol and Dirt?
I did. The delayed Bristol and Dirt.
Yes, well, that's true too.
Due to the rain, I loved it.
So did I.
I loved it. I thought it was. I just thought it was really original. I mean, they interviewed the drivers. They seem to have really liked it. It's something different. I think the fan base appreciated it. I even watched some of the time-lapse photography of the giant 18-wheeler dump trucks dumping the dirt onto the track. And how they prepped the track. I was thumbs up from this guy.
So you know what I enjoyed, though, was the non-competitive stage breaks, pit stops.
Yes.
No, seriously, though, because I hate losing those laps under caution while we, do all that stuff. So let the cars sit on pit road, take the commercial breaks, get it, right, you could still interview the driver, but to make better adjustments to make the racing better. Nothing wrong with that. So I think that is a win in my book. I mean, instead of watching the cars go around at 35, they might as well sit on pit road. That's fine.
I agree. They should sit on pit road.
Yeah, and you could probably talk to two drivers, do another figure it out for the TV, for the partner. You got to have your partners, your TV, your radio. Everybody's got to be on board of it. But instead of taking 5 minutes and circling the track, give them the time on pit road, make the cars better. That makes the product better. Nobody's going to care. We're going to get more racing out of it in the end, which makes everybody happy.
My guess is that NASCAR is going to work with its broadcast partners to tweak this coverage and to tweak this formula. You know what I mean? In other words, as they do, hopefully there's going to be a race 2 and a race 3 like this in ensuing seasons, that they'll change their coverage to suit the sport.
And I'm not saying have stages so every pit stops that way. No, I'm saying you could still have your green flag pit stops because obviously the Bristol Dirt race was shorter. But those stage breaks, just be a break and do whatever. And then live pit stops under caution the rest of the time or under green. That's fine with me. Not saying do away with them, but I think the little break, 5 minutes, whatever, 5, 6 minutes, whatever works for TV and everybody else. I get it. It's a business. It doesn't, that was my takeaway, that needs to be part of what we're doing. And I think it does too. And my guess is that the sponsors obviously would support that because they obviously want to put more eyeballs on their messaging, which is commercials, and also logos and their sponsorships that they do. I think that the advertising community would be very supportive of those changes. And I think cars, it's not a good look for cars to be sitting still, right? Because you're racing and you want all this other stuff. But those moments where you can see the car and the sponsor and it is sitting still are much more valuable than that on-track shot, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. And you're also then not losing all those laps and everything else due to commercials and downtime.
So I was impressed by that. As for the
Yeah, no, I was too. I anytime a sport can innovate, where innovation makes sense, I don't say innovate for innovation's sake, but where it needs to, like baseball maybe. Hint.
Well, we can get back to baseball in a minute.
hint. Baseball. Shorten up. I think that when it makes sense, they should run, not walk, to those opportunities to innovate. They really should.
Baseball needs to rip a few pages out of their book. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they do. They need to shorten their book from War and Peace to the 10-Minute Manager.
I mean, honestly, but I thought COVID would have forced them to shorten, right? And make concessions in their schedule, but it hasn't.
Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, they've tried these. They've tried with the DH rule, and now they want to do if it's extra innings. What's the second base rule? I don't know. I'm not following all of it that closely, but they're trying to tweak along the margins, but they got to do more than that. That's not their answer, especially with millennials and Gen Z, the post-millennials. They don't have, I'm sad to say, they don't have the patience. These are people that are texting all day long on their phones. They text to their spouses and their boyfriends and their girlfriends in the restaurant while they're eating with them.
Yeah.
I mean, these are people that have attention spans of tsetse flies. And, whether, we think that's good or bad, it is the reality. I just hate to say it. It is the reality. And you're not going to change them. And they are the ones that are going to inherit these sports, these franchises. They're going to inherit baseball and football and soccer and everything else. And if the game can't be reformed to at least be slightly more fast-paced and shorter, they're not going to support it. They're not going to tune in. They're not going to buy tickets. They're just not going to.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, I think that hockey did a really good thing with, when it goes into overtime, it's 3-on-3, it's not 5-on-5. That's really exciting. Personally, if it goes into double overtime, I don't like the shootout. Some people do. I don't like deciding a hockey game in a skills contest, in an all-star game skills contest. I don't like that. I just think they should keep piling on more and more overtime, 3-on-3, and get a clear winner. But I mean, hockey has innovated that way. Decades ago, the NBA installed the shot clock, 25-second shot clock. That helped to speed the game. So there are sports that have done some pretty good reforms. That have captured the imagination of the next generation. I don't even football. Football has is it 30-second clock or what is it in between
40 seconds.
downs? 40 seconds. Thank you.
I will
the
say
NFL has done things, but where is baseball?
I will say this about the hockey, the overtime and then the shootout. I'm with you to a degree. I am glad they got rid of the tie, though. The tie was horrible.
Oh, yeah, no, the ties had to go. You play until someone legitimately wins, and that's the best team for that game.
So, I mean...
And, some shootouts can be exciting. I mean, I agree. It is captivating, but something philosophically... we're probably boring your viewers, your listeners, talking about other sports. I'm sorry, but I got the hockey on my mind because of what the stupid mayor has done. But, just something philosophically about deciding a game that's been played for so long, that particular game, with a skills contest. I just don't like that. It would be like deciding a tied NBA game at the end with a game of horse. I mean,
maybe.
What?
I guess I'm biased though because I'm a fan of the shootout, but then I have to remember I have two of the best goal scorers in the history of the league.
Right, exactly. You're spoiled.
Right. I mean, Gino and Sid. I mean, it makes shootouts really exciting because I don't know the percentages.
Yeah, because you win.
Yeah, because I mean they're good at it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now tell that to Buffalo.
Well, Buffalo doesn't get the shootouts often, so it's okay.
No, they don't. But they won tonight. They beat New Jersey.
Well, somebody has to.
Yeah. Well, the Caps did 2 nights ago on Easter Sunday. The Caps. last thing on hockey, and then I'm gonna shut up.
No, I've got two other things before you go. Sports.
All right, the Caps.
The last thing on hockey.
Swept the Devils this season. They beat them on Sunday for the 8th time.
Wow.
So they swept the whole season series.
There was
8-0.
There was a time that New Jersey was good.
I know.
But that's the ebbs and flows of all this. Okay, so I told you I have two more things on sports, and then we'll let you go and get somebody else in here. But
yes, definitely. I want to encourage those who are in the duck pond and those who are listening. Live, call in. It's fun. Don't be scared. It's fun.
So I seen this the other day, and we were talking about baseball a few minutes ago, and I scribbled this down because I wanted to mention this to you. I seen kids, 2 or 3 kids playing lacrosse locally, which was that's the first. I mean, I heard that people were doing it locally, but I hadn't seen anyone doing it. So when I seen it for the first time, obviously I'm aware of it because I've seen it on TV. It's all this, it is what it is. It's a growing sport. But to see it locally in northwestern Pennsylvania, it kind of took me aback because I had that moment of, well, when was the last time you seen people playing catch in your yard?
True. Lacrosse is very, very big in the D.C. metro area, especially even more so toward the Baltimore metro area. It has long, long been a lacrosse powerhouse. In fact, I just happen to know this. I'm going to sound like a show-off. Normally, I would not know this statistic, but the college rankings were just released on college lacrosse, which, of course, is very big where I live in this area. And University of Maryland and Duke are 1 and 2. I just happened to cross that headline today. That you bringing up lacrosse, it's unbelievably coincidental, but
well, that's what we do around
big.
here.
It's big. A lot of people in this area do play it. So my guess is it's working its way north.
Yeah, well,
in popularity.
As more money gets put into it, more awareness. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
I've got a question from Cat Ward, for you because
okay.
Turnabout's fair play. Have you seen any Yetis while mowing your lawn with your shirt off?
Yeah, when I look in the mirror, it's frightening. I call animal control and I report it immediately. I say, please, somebody come and dart that thing.
Somebody needs to. Oh, okay. So
somebody needs to.
Where is he at? I told Walks at Night I had a story for him during the live call show, and he's not here.
Oh, he chickened out.
And I wasn't even going to make him call in to tell the story. But I'll tell.
We'll make him do it. We'll make him do it next month.
No, I'll tell you, and then you can just tell him you heard the story and he didn't.
Oh, okay.
Because we were talking a little bit in the chat room before you got there about it's getting golf season. He thinks he's going to miss some shows and this, that, and the other. And I said, well, whatever. I don't ever expect anybody to be here besides me. I know life happens. It happens for you. It happens for everybody.
Right.
His golf leg's starting up, and I said, hey, I've got a story for you later because I drove by a golf course and it made me think about it.
Oh.
And so years ago, obviously I was a varsity golfer in high school, and so obviously I don't know how often that comes up around here. I shouldn't say obviously.
I'm not surprised.
Surprise for those people. Okay, so my junior year was when I played 2 matches in my sophomore year. None of them I've ever really did well in, but my junior year I went to our district mega match, right? And I played well enough that I got to qualify for home and home matches, which are
good
bigger matches, right?
Yeah.
So the first one I got to go to was an away home and a home. And so the coach looks at me and says, here's the deal. I want you to go out there and set the tempo. And I knew what that meant, right? Because I play fast, like ridiculously fast. And I heard later, this is all coming back later, that these, because it was, like I said, it's a home and home, so it was direct competition with another school, that their best players play notoriously slow, right? So he gave me that permission to play fast, which is what he wanted, because he wanted to change them up.
Right.
So he tells me that on the way there. I want you to set the tempo, right? So their coach, there's this awesome formality, right? We want to welcome you to the September match between da-da-da-da-da. And he's into this big spiel, and I've heard it, right? Halfway through it, I put the peg in the ground because I'm teeing off first, right, in this match. Right, and he's halfway through it. I just whack right down the middle. And everybody just looks at me like I've committed this great cardinal sin because he's still talking, setting this all up, right? Like, and I'm out there setting. He hasn't, now you'd get now on the tee from Frank. Now, whack halfway through his thing. And I look at my buddy who's playing with me, and I said, "You're up." And he looks at me, right? And I back in, head cover on the driver. I've got the bag on my shoulders. I'm ready to go, right? And so we start walking off the tee after, he waits. He lets, the pomp and circumstance happen. He waits. And he looks at me and he says, "I don't think that fast is what we're going for." And I said, right. "Well, you better buckle up, bud, because we're going fast today."
So how did you finish?
Actually, I beat them by 10. Both, they were so far off their game.
Speed matters.
Speed kills. And
speed kills.
Also, the only one to hit the fairway in that group, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Off the first tee. And they were, everybody's like, and the guy was just talking away, whack, right down the middle. And as you know, golf is supposed to be all about this big quiet and stuff. Nope, piped it right down the middle while this guy was talking. So
that's awesome.
I think the intimidation worked. So
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Oh
man.
Back in the day at Germantown, let me tell you, I used to hustle people for money at the driving range.
Oh, look, see, you were you weren't a pool shark. You were a golf shark.
Yeah, I was
a green shark.
I played at these. I'm from northwestern Pennsylvania, so none of these were nice driving ranges. But man, there were times that stupid people, I'll say it, would show up, and how to just mess up just enough to start a conversation about. Oh man, but hey, you want to try? And then ping, deep space.
Oh man.
So.
Well, don't give Walks at Night any ideas.
Oh, I don't know if I can give him any ideas. He's probably got too many ideas of his own.
He does. He really does. And I'll leave you with this, and you don't have to answer it. It's a rhetorical question, but this is what I always wonder. You touched upon it with Kat, but I'm going to bring it up again. I brought it up in the duck pond too tonight. Where are the bodies for the Bigfoot? Where's the skeletons? Where are the babies? Where are the baby skeletons? Where is the fossil record? If they walk among us right now, they wouldn't even be buried deep in the dirt like, dinosaurs are. They wouldn't be far down. They'd be right there at the top. Where are the skeletons?
That's what always gets me about
Hundreds of millions of digital cameras everybody carries around in their pocket now that could take a snap. Where are these? I think that's a fair question.
True of the aliens, too, right?
Say again?
That's true of the aliens.
Yeah, you brought that up, too, with the aliens. Yeah, so. Where is the physical evidence? Where is an alien?
Because, we've all left hotel rooms and left stuff behind. Maybe I should say we all, but right. I'm guilty of it.
But let's take aliens out of it because we can say, okay, let's say aliens don't live among us. They don't live subterranean. They don't live submariner. They're from another galaxy. So let's take them out of this because that's a bigger stretch for them to get here. Let's just say they're not here already. They got to get here. Fine, take them out. The Bigfoots. Is it Bigfoots or Big Feet? I never know. Saying Bigfoots sounds so stupid to me, but I'll say it. The Bigfoots allegedly are here, and they're seen in every continent all over the place. They're not coming here. It's being reported contemporaneously that they are among us. So where are the skeletons?
I don't know. And I've
where are they? They're not coming from Andromeda. They're here. They're cited in the historical things by the Eskimos and the Incas and the colonials, the colonists here. Okay, where are the skeletons? Where are they? You have to ask that. Our science demands it. Our jurisprudence demands it. You can't just make a claim that there's Bigfoot in a court and not produce something. You'd have to prove it, right? If you use deductive reasoning, you have to prove it. Where are they?
I don't know. And I've got a question for you now. That I look at my.
That's a problem, isn't it? Isn't that? I mean, would you grant me that that's a problem?
That is a problem. I've got another problem. I just looked at the duck pond, and everybody knows there's a clock below it because I like to keep track of time. And my clock below the duck pond right now says 8:12 p.m. That isn't right.
You're on Bigfoot time.
That isn't even like the wrong time zone. That is just wrong.
No, you're on Clockwork Orange time.
And I got news for you. At 10 o'clock when I looked at it when we were transitioning through, it was right because that's how the show ended. Because I looked up and went so I looked at the other clock that I have and went
The only thing that would make that time reading better is if it was 11:11.
Yeah, it's not.
And that would be a home run.
So, and I'm scared to refresh my browser because, it's probably going to tell me something else really weird. So.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, listen, I'm going to encourage people in the duck pond to call in. People who are listening on other streams to call in. It's a lot of fun, and we want to support this second hour, this monthly second hour.
Yeah, and if the more support, the more demand, supply and demand, right?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I'm going to wish everybody well, and we'll see everybody back in the duck pond this time, or an hour earlier next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
9 p.m. All right, thank you, Duckmaster.
Germantown Runner's right. If you've never called in, you've missed out. I've missed having you. I missed talking to you. I see you all out there. I appreciate it. And I see the people who hang out in the duck pond and don't even sign into the chat room. Come on, you see it. You know it's fun. You know it's engaging. You know it's a good time. So don't be scared. It's all good. So, okay, excuse me. Now that we got that hopefully taken care of. Here we go. Welcome to the Malliard Report.
Hello.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to apologize for not being there for the full podcast.
Oh, that's fine. You're a busy man, so I appreciate you making a few minutes here now.
No, I just, I switched over and I remembered, hey, he does more than the hour now.
Yes, you've obviously caught the.
I can get in on this. Yeah. So I figured I will jump in and say hi to Jim and Kat. And Kat, you were great. I was going to check it out on the replay, actually. And just check in with you guys.
I think
I'm sorry.
You'll be excited in how it actually broadcast on Facebook tonight, so you'll be able to go back immediately and catch that.
Well, I did because I get a notification that Katie Turner said hello to Kat.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, that's right. So I was trying to get all my stuff, and the live stream was good. It wasn't great, but on my first one to Facebook as well as the YouTube thing for our month. We have a monthly meeting every Tuesday, the first Tuesday every month. And I think we're going to change it to the first Wednesday because I really don't like missing your show. That's how good your show is. And I'm not stroking. I'm telling you the truth. There was a point in my life when I was going to stop and knock on Germantown Runner's door as I was driving back from the state of Florida. And then I said, nah, he'd probably shoot me. So, but
I don't know if he'd shoot you. I often wonder if he'd catch him home.
I think Dave would shoot.
I don't think he would.
Well, I mean, it was late enough where I probably would have caught him home. It was a Sunday, work, school day tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to, yes, I missed the best part. I got it. Oh, God. I'm never going to live this down.
That's okay.
It's just, well, it's the luck of the draw,
Yeah, well, like
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride, as they say.
well, that's the fun part of this, right? And you know how
you know
this
what?
works.
Yeah, I definitely know how it is, and we didn't have we had a better showing the last month, but you don't know what's going on through people's minds. You don't know, what's happening in their worlds, and it's a Tuesday, and you're in a good spot on Tuesday. I remember, not long ago that when we were talking about doing our first podcast, we were like, well, what nights are good? And someone said Tuesday. I said, no, can't do it Tuesday. Duck Pond. And they're like, what? I'm like, Duck Pond. Malliard Report. And they said, okay, what about Wednesday? I'm like, nope, Swamp Gas. So it was Monday, Thursday, Friday. So we went on Thursday because by that time, you may get some people that were like listening to you prior to going out for the evening. So it could be interesting. But yeah, I thank you, Dave. Arms wide open.
Yeah, I told you he wouldn't shoot you. You'd have to just tell him you were coming. Now, if you just showed up and randomly started beating on his door, dressed like a madman, there might. Well, it isn't Texas after all, though.
I wouldn't say I was a madman. I couldn't say that about my youngest or my oldest daughter, but it would have been interesting. Him like, who the hell are these people? I'm telling you, Dave, just knock on his door. He'll open up for you. I wouldn't do that. I don't know if you've ever driven through D.C., but it sucks.
I did. I made the mistake of, yes.
Yeah. I just can't get 5 lanes of highway, and it's all backed up.
Yeah. And it feels like you're in reverse. I don't know.
Yeah, here's the new scam that they pulled, right? So everybody's talking about equality, and everybody's like transparency and equality. That's the whole thing. Oh, everybody has, proper equity. Yet in that area of the country, as you get closer to the District of Columbia, they have like 5 lanes on road, and then they have this fast lane /HOV /whatever that if you pay $10, you can go 65 miles an hour with nobody on it. And it's just, seriously, you have to pay to drive. And it's a slap in your face. It's like, I already paid. My taxes paid for these roads. Why do I have to pay again? Because I want to go faster.
Well. And
it's insane. And I know that's coming. They're trying to do it in New York. And I know they're going to be trying to do that in like Jersey as well. It's just out of control.
Our illustrious governor is trying to make our interstates toll roads. All of them.
Toll roads. Well, you know what? It's all right. Our sexual predator / mass murderer governor has decided to go with recreational use marijuana to try to fill that revenue gap. Toll roads are not good for the residents that use them all the time. I think if you live by a toll or within a certain district, a mile, you should get a free pass. But I think, if you're a tourist, then tolls are tolls. It's part of the game. As long as you keep all the damn deer off the highway, it's like a deer apocalypse over there. It's like that final battle scene in Apocalypse Now. There's blood everywhere. I hear the music going. I see the tracer bullets and deer parts flying, after semis, just obliterate them. Mental note: if you're driving in Pennsylvania, people, stay behind the semi. They don't slow down for the deer.
Yeah,
they
I was going to say.
Yeah,
yes,
it's very interesting.
And it's always a big, big mess.
Well, you know what? You're welcome about the Rangers, by the way. I haven't been paying attention. It's hockey's all crazy these days. Very, very weird. 1 minute you're hot, next minute you're not. So we'll see what happens. I think everybody gets into the playoffs except for one team.
The Montreal Canadiens?
That'll probably be yeah, pretty much. Either them or what the hell? Who are those guys?
Buffalo.
Dave Scott's favorites.
Vancouver.
I can't stand Buffalo. Yeah, Vancouver, the Canucks. And my question is, what the is a Canuck. No, I know
it's a
what
Canadian.
It means,
I don't know. Jeez, oh, Pete.
Yeah, you know.
You really are
So,
itching to get me in
maybe
trouble,
we'll
aren't
have David do that. Give us all the details on how this would be a good show, actually. How the sports team gets those special names, like they call them the Habs. Like, how did they come about that?
you?
Why do they call them the Habs?
I've seen somebody talking about that
Right?
somewhere. There's a guy out there who's done the book on that. I think maybe it's a book, or maybe it's some videos. I don't know, but there's somebody I seen one, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. As far as reading is concerned, I have enough reading to last me a lifetime right now, and that as a leisure read, I would need the Brian Anderson version on audio tape.
In Germantown Runner punches through right here. HAP is the abbreviation for French, or it'd be helpful if I could read. I can't even go one Burgundy. Oh, good grief! HAP is the abbreviation for French for team. There we go.
For the team.
Yeah.
Mon Dieu. Yeah.
Here we go.
Well, you don't want me to start about French, so I'll just leave it be.
French fry, my sir.
I will leave it be. I just wanted to say hi, and I still love your show, and you do a great job in what you do, and I hope you get 5,000 more shows, and each one of them you get $1,000 check.
Well,
how about that? Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not about the money, you know that, but it is just great to be able to do this and be able to, you know what I'm saying. It's good to be able to do it, and then there's good to be able to do it, and then there's good to be able to really get in there and get people that you're trying to get. So,
right. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. If you got a monetary something from it, it would be nice to at least to make it pay for itself. Where you don't have to output it anymore. But there's something to be said when you contact somebody out of the blue that doesn't know you from Adam or Eve, whatever, and they agree to come on the show, and they're a big name or something.
Well, it still blows my mind that anybody comes on the show. So,
well, it's actually pretty funny. It's actually very, very funny. But you've had a plethora of pinatas on your show. You had a lot of big names, and you seem to be getting more and more of them, and kudos to you. But, sometimes you sit there and you're like, did I just talk to, so-and-so? Did I really just talk to the former, the governor, Jesse Ventura? It's just, I love that stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
and I do it because I have questions I want answered, and I've always wanted answers, though. But
yeah.
Good job. Keep it going.
Yes, you too. And
equip in French for team. Well, thank God Kat's there to correct Germantown Runner.
Oh well,
I
nobody
think I'm
ever
going to put my money on Kat.
Nope, nobody. No. Nobody corrects Germantown Runner in here, so we're going to have to be banning people. I'm pretty sure. Send Kat to the penalty box. Oh boy, this ends badly. See, this is why I don't. This is why I don't do 2 hours. Gonna get punch drunk here. So.
Well, I just want to see the fight between Kat and Germantown Runner done on cable for pay-per-view. I think it'd be worth it.
I was gonna say
they're
we're
going back and forth with like isms.
I feel that we need Vince McMahon at this point.
Brother, when I get in that ring, yeah. But yeah. Ooh, I'm banned. I don't know what that means. She just got banned, Jim.
I banned her
on the show. I appreciate it. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. I just
That's
had to
awesome.
say it because 2 minutes for disrespecting Germantown Runner. There we go.
Nice.
We're in the hockey mood tonight, so there we go.
The Golden Boy, Germantown Runner. That's who it would be, huh? That's his boxing name. Can we make him the Golden Boy? Do we want to make him the Golden Boy?
I don't know, but does anybody watch boxing anymore, or is it mixed martial arts? Because I think we have to step it up.
I've watched. I don't think anybody really watches much boxing anymore. I mean, you get some. I get some. I see you on Instagram, and when I scroll through, sometimes that the mixed martial arts is there, and you see some replays, and some people just get pummeled. It's amazing.
It's brutal.
Yeah. The first time I actually saw this type of octagon fighting was a buddy of mine. His friend was Renzo Gracie, and he was tutored by Renzo Gracie, learned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he was explaining to me about this black belt champ out of like Sweden or something, was talking smack about the Gracie family, Renzo or whatever. So Renzo fought him. And like literally, it was over in like 3 minutes, less than that. You know, Renzo had him totally. And he did something where he was like kind of pole vaulted around this guy's wrist and arm. And the guy tapped out, but Renzo broke it anyhow to prove a point.
So I've got one last.
Oh, that's cool. You want
one last thing for you to get your opinion on, and I'm going to throw it out here because I know these two are going to have an opinion too. Best hockey fighter.
Sure.
Who's the best hockey fighter?
Best hockey fighter? Gordie Howe's pretty good. Gordie Howe hat trick was amazing. I think Litzer was pretty good. Domi was just an animal. I don't know. Doug,
Okay.
I met Doug Lister. Nice guy. Very quiet. Very like, you know, he wanted to use the phone. And he was nice, but yeah, maybe there's a lot of that. Watch the movie Goon. You'll find out.
Or slap shot. Slap on the foil. Come on.
A slap shot. I have my Hanson jersey. I have Ogie Oglethorpe. And when I wear the Ogie Oglethorpe jersey, at least one person guaranteed will go, buy you soda after the game, Ogie. Every time. Yes. Gordie Howe, I think, is the one. I really do. I mean, come on, it's a Gordie Howe hat trick. You can't beat that. No one else. It's not like there's some guys can scrap pretty good. But yeah, Gordie Howe, 100%.
Right. I'll push you off and see if we get anybody else on here. No, you're fine. You're great. We'll talk soon, I'm sure.
But just wanted to say hi.
You did, and we're happy to have you. Don't worry. So
thank you very much. I'm going to go back to the pond and say hi to everybody there and let you do your thing.
All right. Well, have a good evening.
Good night, everybody. You got it. Bye.
So time to put out the call for the last call, right? Because we've got about 8 minutes left. No outro music. Thanks for bearing with me while I played the longer intro music, right? As we transition, as I try to upload their shows. Bob Probert for the Red Wings was pretty fierce, yeah. A lot of big. I think in Georgia Rock, he was a Penguin for a while, man. 4 free. 2 free 4, 7 free 8, 2 5 5 2. Last call. I'm telling you, we're gonna get these last few calls in. Here we got about 7 minutes left, so. I appreciate Germantown Runner and Brian Bowden for hopping on here tonight and making this second hour go pretty well. Really looking forward to these. I think it's going to be a very good solution between what has to happen for the business side, the actual show, and the community side. So I'm really looking forward to this. As this kind of continues to take its own life and we get to have a little, I want to say relaxed time, because during the actual Malliard Report it gets a little crunched and a little hyped and a little not so, I guess we'll say formal, as we work with the guests and try to do that. So we get these little breaks and can have a little hockey fun and a little more fun. So I really look forward to sharing some more fun and some more stories and some more insight through the next little bit as we do these second hours. And and MLK, I see you there. And yes, you're going to call into the show the second hour, and you're going to call into the first hour, and we're going to get that book out there, and we're going to have a good time with it. We're going to open some eyes to some people on some things that a lot of people have talked about a lot of things, but I have never talked about MLK on the show, so I'm really looking forward to talking to you about that for the first time. So, and yeah, I'm glad. Like I said, it's just a good time to be doing this tonight. So, and for the record, now for those people who are out there listening live right now and wondering what happens to this product, because like I said, it's not going in the normal podcast feed. Where are these going to end up? Eventually, this broadcast and all the other live calls will end up on the ad-free talkradio.com stream. That's where the intent is, to put that together for those listeners who want that fast-paced, traditional talk-based radio. That's where this is all going to end up. That's my plan. There's a bunch up there right now. All the prediction shows and all the older call-in shows are up. But this one's going to take a little bit longer. I've got to figure out the method of uploading. So, there's that. That's kind of big picture, right? Nuts and bolts, a little bit behind the scenes of this all. Shark Radio Network, if you're into the best of shows, that's kind of where they're headed. And I Talk Paranormal's where all the paranormal shows are headed. And of course, Malliard, the 24-hour Malliard Report stream plays the most recent, oh God, I don't know what it is, 150 shows continuously. It's a great thing. So there's all of that. It's just amazing how many tentacles this show has branched off into for the years. And the great thing is, it's amazing how much of it is supported by people who are looking for these different avenues, these different niches of content. And I'm just happy to put out there what people are looking for. So if you have an idea, throw it at me. There's a lot going on behind the scenes all the time around here. And I don't share that enough with everybody. I'm not trying to brag. It's just what it is. And so, yeah. Good stuff. So if you're missing your last chance to call, which is okay with me. But, so there's all that nuts and bolts stuff. And then there's the new site, like I said, alternative talk radio.stream, right? It was supposed to be a radio site at one point, back a couple years ago when I had those different hashtags, different as trying something. So, but yeah, it exists now as the new site that we're doing. So, for now, that's where it's at. Just blown away by all the different things that the show's generated. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah. Okay. So, I think tonight went very well. So, we'll do it again pretty soon. Push it out there and keep rolling. That's what we do around here. Video's coming. The video is what it is. It's just a byproduct. Like I said, you get to watch. I don't know why you do. You get to watch me move my hands. You get to look at me, look at myself sometimes, which is ridiculous. So, yeah. Trying to watch the clock since I don't have it programmed up yet. That's the fun part of this all. Trying to make sure I get it just right. So if you haven't subscribed, all right, you need to do that. I think most of you have by now. So, and like I said, reviews. I asked for reviews at the end of the other show. And whatever. It's not important. I mean, it is important, but it isn't important. I prefer people, share it directly with their friends who are interested. And like I said, I have enough products going around now that it's powerful. It's powerful where we're at right now. I'm very happy with where we're at and where we're headed. Of course, I don't know where we're headed. That's the great interesting thing about this. So it's kind of just taking a life of its own, and we'll see where it goes. That's all that matters. Okay. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. That's the worst. I'm running down through these things that I normally don't talk about. I just feel like I'm missing something. Which makes it horribly, horribly bad. right? Like, it's just horrendous when you feel like you're missing something. But hey, I appreciate everybody's time tonight. I hope you all understand this and get a little understanding of where we're at tonight. Enjoyed the big conversation, first and second hour. Feels weird saying that. We'll get over that though, and be back next week back to the hour and getting it done. And then first Tuesday of the month we'll be back with live calls again. So